This is number 12 on the back of page 3. We're looking at 4a over a squared plus 6a plus 5 plus 1 over a plus 1. I'm noticing right now that as written, these are not common denominators, which means I cannot add or subtract until I figure out some common denominators. So, strategy. The number one strategy is go ahead and factor the entire set of denominators so that you can, not bouncing it around to confuse you, so that you can see what factors they have and what factors they need. So I'm going to leave the numerators alone, and I'm going to figure out how to factor the denominators. So I'm looking here at what are the factors of a positive 5, two numbers that multiply to give me 5, that would add to give me 6, and hopefully you said 5 and 1. 5 times 1 is positive 5, 5 plus 1 is 6. So this is going to factor to a, and I'm going to delete those. So this first one right here is going to factor to a plus 5 times a plus 1. So all I've done is rewritten the leftmost fraction. Plus 1 over, remember you're just factoring denominators, and a plus 1, not factorable. So it's an I have, who has situation. The right fraction says I have a plus 1. Who else has a plus 1? And the left fraction says I also have it, so we're good. Then the left fraction says I have a plus 5. And the right fraction says I don't. So you have to give it to them by multiplying by a plus 5 over a plus 5. Now you do have it. So once you see that you have common denominators, you write them as a single denominator, being a plus 1 over a plus 5, and then you do all of the math in the numerators. On the left side, there's no math to be done. You just bring it over for a. On the right side, I've got 1 times a and 1 times 5. So it would be plus, and remember, you always look at that sign. If it were minus, you'd have to do a -1 distribution. But it is positive. So positive 1 times a is a. Positive 1 times 5 is 5, or plus 5. And now I'm just going shopping for common denominators. 4a plus a, how many a's total? That's 5a. And then plus 5 doesn't have any common factors, and so I'm just going to write it like that, over a plus 1 times a plus 5. Okay, so let's go back through these steps again. I'm not totally finished, but I want to remember the first thing is you factor. You have to figure out the factors of the denominators. Okay, the next thing is you've got to do I have, who has, and equal out the denominators so that they're common denominators. And here's your common denominator for the first time. Okay, then from here to here, you did the numerator math. So the last step is you check it's completely combined in the top. You just have to check by factoring in the numerator, because the denominator is already done. Is there anything that can cancel? So looking at 5a plus 5, I do know that I can factor that. So I've got to factor the numerator if possible in this last step. So I'm going to take 5 out of that binomial, both terms, and that leaves me with a plus 1. And now I'm going to compare it to what I know is my denominator. And I am looking for things that I can cancel because they make ones, and a plus 1 over a plus 1 is one of those things. So those cancel, and the only thing that's left in the numerator is 5. What's left in the denominator is a plus 5. And I know it's tempting to want to cancel those 5s, but I need you to remember that binomials have implied parentheses around them. You can't cancel out of addition. You can only cancel all of addition. It's all or nothing. So if there was another a plus 5, you can cancel, but just plain old 5, no sir. So that's the answer, 5 over a plus 5.